In the last video, we went over the empty Saint formation as a new way to attack the max blitz 146 meta that everybody seems to be running these days. So far, it's been really great for me, and of course, I'd love to hear from you guys if you've tried it and how that's going for you. The major problem that I see with it though is that it actually blocks too well and that people tend to drop out of the 146 altogether because of it. So I had to dig a bit deeper into the Saints playbook for some supplementary plays, and I came across this gem, which is Sale out of Doubles Y Flex off week, now called Taysom Hill Slot. It combines a number of recent routes and concepts that I've been using in a nice complete package. It attacks every coverage in a variety of ways without having to force our will into it. It's all already set up and ready to go. So let's get started against man coverage. So before we get started on how the routes work against different concepts, different coverage concepts, just a few small things you need to know. So right away, we're a 2x2 spread here, so it's not the greatest blocking play, but it's gonna be great against a lot of these guys that just sit in cover 3 or sit in cover 2 all game, or cover 4 drop show 2. You're gonna have a lot of answers for that. In terms of how I set my strength here, I'm setting my strength, like my running back, to the boundary. It really doesn't matter. You could flip it to the other side as well, but I just find that it all kind of works a little bit better this way. And we'll show you actually a little bit later on in the video if we flip it. There are a few advantages there that we can look to do, but by and large, you're going to have it like this. The one adjustment that we need to do is we can actually just leave it stock like this and be okay, but I like to put the inside wide receiver on the weak side on just a little hitch right here, and that's just going to give us a nice kind of last option to work for. In terms of personnel, my outside receivers, I like to have all the route abilities on there, so in specialist, post specialist, all that stuff, just so they can get separation, say against man coverage or in tight zone coverage. They can come down with that ball a lot more consistently. It will work without those abilities, but it just works much better with them. And then the running back, he's on this nice kind of outside release out route, halfback out route that I made actually a whole video on. And there's something I didn't actually really realize it when I made the video, is that it actually does depend a little bit on his short route running. So yeah, I don't know the exact threshold for that, but I'm using Gale Sayers. I think he has like 73 short route running, or 76 or something like that, and that's more than enough. He just can't be terrible at it, but decent enough. It might be like 70 or something like that, but that's just something I want to point out. Otherwise, against man coverage, we're going to start off with here, you have a number of routes that get open against it, and we're going to just start with this halfback out route right here. So he's going to win against who's ever covering him. He's going to get open by a large margin. Now, of course, this might not always be an option, because if they are coming out and saying like cover 0 blitz or something like that, you won't have the time to actually throw that. So a lot of times you might actually have to block him against the cover 0. But if you're coming up against a serial cover 0 blitzer, you might be picking some other formations anyway. But anyway, if they're just playing straight up man-to-man coverage or a match coverage, that's going to be a really good option for you. The corner route from the tight end right here isn't actually great, but the other routes are. So we'll go ahead and show the post route from Hopkins here. Because he has the post specialist, he's going to get a lot of separation here, and then in traffic he can come down and catch that every single time. Against cover 0, where there's no safety help over the top, that's going to be likely a touchdown or a much bigger gain. On the left right here, the slot wide receiver, we have Michael Thomas. You can put him on this hitch route, and he's going to get unbumpable release, and he's just going to sit there for 5 yards, and we can get that easy 5 yards every single time. There's a number of things we can do here. I'll just show you right here. We can just let him get that, throw a low ball there, and catch 5 yards every single time. Or we can smart route that hitch to 10 yards. And actually, he does get a little bit bumped here, but we can throw that here even against a great corner. That's going to be easy 10, 11, 12 yards. And you could even leave this zig in. That's going to get open. But even better, so you have this 15-yard dig on the backside here. And assuming he has the in specialist, even against great corners, he's going to get open. So just like this, he gets open, few yards of separation. You can rack catch that for even more. So you have a ton of options against man coverage. Even if they're doing some sort of hybrid with man and zone, you can always go back to those routes knowing that they're going to develop and get open against man coverage. Now, when we get into the zone coverages here, so let's go into this really basic cover 4 drop. We won't get into cover 3. For all intents and purposes, they're going to play out the same here. The progression of this play, other than setting your strength to the boundary, putting the number 2 on a hitch, you're ready to go already. You're going to be looking to hit the running back, and then if that's not there, you're hitting the corner. If that's not there, you're hitting the dig, and if that's not there, you're hitting the hitch. So it's a progression read essentially no matter what. I mean, if it's man coverage, you're going to be looking for your best man beater. If it's zone, you're going to be going running back to tight end corner to weak number 1 dig to the hitch in the slot there. So I showed a video on this halfback route that just gets open underneath so many different zone coverages here, and we'll just show you against just the stock cover 4 drop. You'll see as he hits his out cut, you can just throw that out here, rack catch that, and you should be able to get 10 to 15 yards pretty easily. Now same thing if they're running cloud flats on their cover 4 drop, you're still going to have a lot of room, actually maybe even more room underneath to get that at least 10 yards very simply. Now if they're running hard flats, you can still throw it to the running back, you just got to throw it early. You have to throw it like right there, possession, catch that, get your 5 yards. Or if you don't want to do that and you're seeing the hard flat on the field, that's when we're going to go to our corner progression over here on the tight end. You just throw that here, toe tap that, you should get your 15-20 yards. Now what's cool about the tight end corner route here and the combination with the post on the front side here is that it can get open even against just regular curl flats and even cloud flats if we set it to the other side of the field. The sail or flood concept hasn't really been good lately for a number of reasons, mostly because of the cornerback that's on that side. He'll, even with his back turned, he can, turn immediately and make a full speed break on the ball. And usually it's really hard to fit it in that window between the flat and that outside third or outside fourth. But what's great about this combination, other than the fact that we always have this nice 10 yards from the running back, we don't even necessarily need this, is that the corner route breaks inside then out, so it gives you a little bit of a delay. Not too much of a delay that you're going to get sacked, but enough of a delay that you can push that cornerback out, and enough of a delay for that flat defender to maybe come back down on that running back. Plus, the post actually does a better job than a streak or a fade, because what that's going to do is that's going to pull the corner inside a little bit, and that'll give you even more room. So you just got to wait a little bit and then just throw it to the sideline, and you see how much easy room you have there. Now, if you're throwing this against cloud flats to the boundary, it's much harder. See, I would have to wait for that guy to come down and throw that there. In that case, you might not have enough time, but it is a possibility if you need it. But by and large, I'm just getting my check down routes to that running back. User defender's usually not going to carry with it. Usually it's a pretty easy read unless they're running hard flats there, in which case I would throw it quick or wait for the corner to develop. I mentioned this before, but an easy way to tell if it's hard flats or cloud flats early is just watch watch the technique of that flat defender. And in this case, actually just watching the technique of the weak flat defender is even easier. So the guy on the left of the screen here, if we see him shoot out right away, we know it's a hard flat. So right away we know it's a hard flat, and then I won't even really consider that flat route, and I just go to the corner right away. And in the case of the 3-4 odd here, where the overhang defender and cover 4 drop is a linebacker, you can see the jam he has on the wide receiver's release to determine if it's a curl flat or a cloud flat. If the wide receiver releases inside, it's going to be a curl flat, and I can either take the running back underneath or I can wait to hit that corner above him. So maybe that's making it a little bit more complex than it needs to be, but it's a valuable tool if you really want to get the most out of this offense, or really any offense in general. The post route here, other than on man coverage, you're not really going to be looking towards it. It's more of a kind of an alert. If you're seeing, say your user is maybe stuck on a defensive lineman, you want to quick snap him, or if he's over here or something, because the post will actually get open. It's just that it's usually in a spot that the user is going to look to undercut. But you can see right here, you can lowball this right here, and if he has a post specialist, he'll catch that every time. And of course, cover 3, that post safety, he really doesn't do anything. He just drifts back and back and back and back, and we have even more room down here to catch that 15-20 yards. But by and large, what you'll see is that you'll have a user defender cheating towards the strong side, maybe looking towards that corner route, and that's when we start to work in the backside. So the reason why we have this hitch, other than a last kind of check down route, is that it helps bring down the flat defender and the weak side hook. Actually, to be honest, the zig does a really good job here also. It's just not as consistent, and it's not really a good check down route. So we can go ahead and do this, and this dig route is deep enough to get over any of those and underneath any of the safeties right here, and that's going to be another easy 15-20 yards. And it doesn't really matter what they do, unless of course it's 3rd and long, 2nd and long, 4th and long, and then they're protecting the sticks and having those guys really drop back, in that case, the dig won't get open. But in all other cases, right here I'm running cloud flats. That hook is going to come down on that hitch, and then we can just go ahead and throw this right here and catch that easily. So there you saw that the window was pretty wide open there. Something that I've actually been doing lately, because people can click on and come late with their user. I've actually been high point passing this because he has that ability. He's still going to be able to come down with those pretty much every single time. So don't be afraid to do that. And then say they are protecting the sticks. It might be harder to put that in there, but then your hitch is just going to be nicely open right here. So in this case, I probably could have thrown that dig with a high point, but I got that hitch for 6 yards. And if you want to hit it against any coverage, if you want to hit the corner route against any coverage, you would set it to the field and just simply streak that wide receiver rather than keeping him on the post. And against the cloud flat, curl flat, whatever, you're going to be able to hit this in this nice spot that none of those zones are going to be able to break on. But by and large, we're going to be wanting to run this with the strength set to the boundary. So against cover 2 now, the progressions really become the same and the setup is the same. That's what's so great about this play, is that you're really defense agnostic, right? You don't really care what you're coming up against unless it's like full on max pressure. You want to probably check into a different formation. But against different coverages, you're always going to have an opening and you're just going to look towards your reads. And you're not really waiting for anything to develop too long. But anyway, so we're starting off with the running back here. Stock cover 2. We got a cloud flat there. We're going to be able to get this. Probably not as many yards because the corner's in a better spot, but still a lot. And then if they want to take that out, of course, they're going to put hard flats in there. So we got the hard flat right here. We could throw this in this spot right here, or we could see the cornerback come down. We just hit it over the top with the corner route. And then we can work the backside over here. So against regular cover 2, you can take your pick at the hitch underneath or the dig. So in this case, the vertical hook will go too deep and we can hit this hitch every time for 6 yards. Or we can wait for that dig to develop. So right here, I can hit the hitch if I want, or I can hit the dig right there, assuming the user's not there. And of course, that's all going to develop a lot better and a lot more space if they're putting that middle linebacker in a deep third, which a lot of people do if they don't want to get beat over the top. So there I can hit that hitch, or right here I can hit this with a lot more space and potentially get another 5 more yards. One thing to note, if they are playing hard flats, I believe that weak side vertical hook will come down a little bit better, a little bit more aggressively on the hitch, so you don't really have an option there, but you just have a lot more space over the top for that dig. Now, of course, one of the big downsides of this play is that it doesn't have too much really big play potential, right? You can get short yardage, intermediate yardage, and a little bit more than that, but you can't, take it over the top of the defense. But, of course, if you are coming up against this off-zone coverage stuff, cover 4 drop, cover 3, you do always have the ability, if you do have the sleight of hand ability, is to pump fake to one of your double move routes, wherever they are on the field. Get the cornerback to bite, and then you could hit him over the top. That's always a nice option for you. And you have this nice play called Saints Y under that you can put into your audible. So anytime you coming up against press, like press man or cover 2, you can go ahead to that, and you have this nice, beautiful outside release go, outside release fade. And against cover 2, he's going to get around that cornerback. You throw it down the sideline. Easy yards. Or people see that you can only protect 6 in this formation. They come out here with a crazy cover 0 blitz. They're pressing these guys, but you got this outside release fade. You can block your running back just for a little bit extra time, and you can just throw that over the top for 5 yards of separation and an easy touchdown. Okay, so that's it for this play. I think a really great play, which is a great complement to the Saints empty formation that I brought in the last video. I think I'm going to start developing this Saints playbook a little bit more. I'm still kind of bouncing towards things, but I think this might be the best option in terms of what we're seeing online right now. We'll develop it, and maybe, who knows, I'll do an ebook in the future. If you'd like to see that, definitely leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.